Sean Meyers joined by Tom Esposito, the head coach of the Derry Area boys, as they embark in the 3A WPIAL postseason. And first of all, congratulations. Getting into the postseason is an accomplishment in itself. And it was a really nice regular season for the Trojans, winning 13 games. How did you evaluate how the team performed this year compared to the expectations that you and the players had set going in?
Well, I think we're where our goals were leading us to the playoffs. Thought we progressed throughout the regular season as we added some depth after the first couple games of our section play. I was I We were hoping to finish a little higher than what we did, and we had that shot going into the second Shady Side game. Had we beat them and some other things work out, we could have actually been in a tie for second or at least third place, but things didn't fall into place and where we're at, and we're just getting ready to roll.
I know the loss against Deer Lakes by 2 points. That was a big story because one, you hung with maybe the best team in the entire classification and a team that made it all the way to the state championship game last year. But it also showed that you needed to make one more play, something along those lines. So how do you balance probably being happy with the team's effort to keep it that close, but then still realizing that you need to do something else to get over the hump if you want to make this deep postseason?
Yeah, well, that Deer Lakes game, it was one of the most bizarre games I've ever coached in my career, 25 years. Actually, we lost to Deer Lakes by a combined 12 points this year. And they're probably averaging their margin of victories well over 20. But we played well against Deer Lakes both times. The second game up at Deer Lakes, at that time, they number one in the WPIAL, number three in the state. We finished the game with 4 starters fouled out, plus another player from the bench that fouled out. It was just, it seemed like the whistle was blowing every time down the court, one way or the other. But it did give us confidence, and we knew that we let that game slip away. And had we won that game, I think we'd have won. We won 7 out of our last 8. We would have been on a nice roll, and getting that signature win against Deer Lakes would have gave us even more confidence that we did get, losing by 2 to them. And then we beat Burl the next section game, and we've been on a roll here lately to finish out the season, and we just hope that it continues because it did give us a lot of confidence.
Well, a player who's had a lot of confidence all season is Nate Papuga. And I think you realized, and a lot of people realized heading into the season, he was going to be awfully good for you. But has he even exceeded the high expectations that he entered with? We've seen recently him surpassing 40 points in a game against Ligonier Valley.
Yeah, Nate's game has become more well-rounded this season. He's become a 3 to 4 level scorer for us. Nate is just a dog that loves basketball, and he lives and breathes it, sleeps it. He's constantly playing basketball in the off season, even when we're not working out. He's a pure scorer, but Nate is a very unselfish scorer. And at times, scorers will look, they may force a shot or two, but not once this season did we have to talk to Nate about, slowing his game down or not forcing shots. His game has become well-rounded. He's playing better defense for us, and he's battling on the glass harder than he did in previous years. He just has a lot of upside to him that, teams have to be concerned about.
Well, you mentioned the word upside. I think that applies to your freshman as well. But that being said, playoffs are a difficult time for ninth graders potentially. So how do you try to make sure that everyone, whether they are seniors who've been through it or newcomers like Stanley, are prepared for what is a much more intense environment in postseason play?
Well, fortunately, we have 3 starters who have played over 60 varsity basketball games, in Brady Angus, Nate, and John Wasvik. They've all been battle tested in the playoffs last year, with Mohawk and the year prior to that. But uh, I haven't had two great leaders like Brady and Nate for a long time, if ever. They hold each other accountable. They hold their teammates accountable. They hold us coaches accountable. Brady was just in my office this morning during his lunch period, and we're working on some things for OLSH, and he's like having a coach on the floor, which is great to have. Waz is, I would say, the glue to our team. He's been solid on both ends of the court for us. I know we already spoke about Nate, but Stanley is learning on the go. He has raw skills that his body is not caught up to yet at times. He's 14 years old, but Stanley plays a lot of basketball in the offseason and some big AAU tournaments, and he's playing for one of the best teams in Western Pennsylvania this offseason in AAU. So he plays against very good players, but the playoffs are different. The margin of error decreases dramatically from the regular season, and as each game goes along, it decreases even more. So we have to play very consistent, fundamental basketball on both ends of the floor, and just we got to take advantage of what we create to exploit our opponents.
I know you somewhat lamented some of the opportunities to finish a little bit better than you did in section play. So you get the number 12 seed. That means you're going against number 5, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. How did your seed in the bracket overall match up with what maybe you had anticipated going in?
Well, I thought we could have snuck in it. I thought we'd be 11 or 12. Very, very deep reach of sneaking into the 10 spot, but hopefully it's like March Madness, that 5-12 seed matchup in March Madness, how that goes. But I thought OLSH was one of the teams we could play. I thought Washington was another, but we scouted OLSH on Monday night live in person, and we have numerous films on them. I think we match up well with them. They are very well coached, obviously. Mike Rodriguez. Him and I go back 30 years when I was at Homer Center and he was at Windber. So we know each other very well. He has over 400 wins. He's a great coach. They have they're guard oriented. They have 4 guards that can really shoot the ball well from the outside, from beyond the arc with some range. And they have a stud inside and a 6'5", 235-pound D1 quarterback recruit. But I think we match up well with them. We're very similar in depth wise. I think we can do some things that we want to do successfully against them. We just have to get after them defensively, contest their shots, and we absolutely have to battle on the glass.
I know winning traditions hold value, and certainly they're not far removed from being a historic team here in Pennsylvania with the winning streak and the championships. Do you still see remnants of that with the team that they have now, even though many of those players who were part of that winning streak have moved on?
Well, once a program establishes a history like OLSH has established, young players see that as they come up through their programs, and we're not playing history. We're playing one game, and hopefully we play, well enough to knock them off. And we're very confident. We're very focused. We're very determined. We had a great practice last night. And like I said, we're not playing history. And that's what our guys got to realize, that it's just one game. And after that game, you have to have a short memory and move on.
Well, Espo, hopefully you do indeed move on throughout the playoffs. We appreciate the time. Congrats on getting there, and good luck against Our Lady of the Sacred Heart.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.